Good evening. You're watching Spotlight. I'm Ritangshu Bhattacharya. On day 2 of 2 impressive and landmark rulings by the Supreme Court comes a very important point which probably you could have missed in the fine print here. Today the Supreme Court, when it upheld the right to privacy as a fundamental right, it opened new doors to revisit one of the most contentious Supreme Court rulings which happened in 2013, which criminalized same-sex consensual sex between two adults, also known as homosexuality. It said now today, and I quote, "It poses a grave danger to the unhindered fulfillment of one's sexual orientation as an element of privacy and dignity. The chilling effect is due to the danger of a human being subjected to social opprobrium or disapproval as reflected in the punishment of crime. Hence, the causal rationale that the prosecution of a few is not an index of violation is flawed and cannot be accepted here. Consequently, we disagree with the manner in which Kaushal has dealt with the privity, dignity-based claims of LGBT persons in this aspect." That was words that came from the Supreme Court today, and words which will come to music to the lax-strong LGBT community in India.
The Supreme Court passed its landmark verdict on the right to privacy, and with the verdict, it brought a major relief for the LGBT community.
The judgment will have a huge bearing on criminalization of gay sex laws in India, and the Supreme Court's own 2013 order that upheld Article 377 is most likely going to be challenged in the wake of today's historic watershed judgment.
The Apex Court has castigated its 2013 verdict, in which it criminalized the homosexuality and opened new doors to revisit the 2013 Kaushal verdict.
I think that the Supreme Court verdict on the right to privacy is a step in the right direction. I do hope that this would pave the way for a lot of other laws which are discriminatory. I think it's a step in the right direction, and soon we will see the decriminalization of Section 377 as well.
We are welcome that judgment. It's a independent human privacy judgment.
The Supreme Court said that the 2013 verdict poses a grave danger to the unhindered fulfillment of one's sexual orientation as an element of privacy and dignity. Hopes have started building up in the LGBT community, as they are optimistic that they will not be further discriminated on the basis of their sexual orientation, as it's now a matter of their privacy. With Gauri Devedi in New Delhi, Bureau Report, NewsX.
And so to discuss whether it's now time for a revolution in the way the nation sees the LGBTQ community, we have here with me to discuss Arvind Gupta, head of the IT cell representing the BJP. Mr. Vinayak Dalmia joins me in the studio. He is a constitutional law expert. Also joining me in the studio is Mr. Ellen Rao, who is the former DCP of the special cell. Also expected to join me shortly is Kasturi, an prominent actress from Chennai. And also joining me right now is Ashok Rao Kavi, LGBT activist from Mumbai. Mr. Kavi, I'll come to you first. How significant is today's observation with the Supreme Court? Hopefully it will translate into ruling soon enough. But how significant are the words mentioned today in the highest court of the land for the LGBTQ community?
You know, it was such a pleasant surprise to read the judgment, because we always thought that the privacy issues will be around things like Aadhaar, PAN cards, the linking of them to bank accounts, the lack of privacy because there was so much leakage of confidential data. But the learned judges have widened the scope of what privacy means and how it translates as a fundamental right. Now that's important, because what they have talked about is that they have placed privacy smack into the Constitution as under the fundamental rights issue.
Yeah.
Whereas the Delhi High Court had defined what privacy was. This is the interesting thing. The linkage between the two is now coming. In between is, of course, Justice Sanghvi's effort to try and overturn it, because he said that there were so-called rights of a minuscule minority. The very fact that privacy has been made into a fundamental right means that it is applicable and can be enjoyed by all the citizens of this country and this nation, which means automatically that Justice Singhvi's ruling doesn't stand, or it practically becomes infructuous. So the big connection between the two is that the laws on privacy are now very clear, that privacy is a fundamental right. It is also linked to the fact in defining what is privacy, which has been defined in the Delhi High Court judgment by Justice A.P. Shah. The linkage between the two is an enormous relief for the LGBT community, because it practically makes 377 redundant. You must understand that 377 was used mostly for sexual abuse of children, but now they have brought in POSCO.
Okay.
It was also used against women, or it was used for unnatural sex with women, non-penovaginal sex with women. But the rape laws have been reformulated under the Justice Verma committee. So it is no more necessary, even as far as non-penovaginal sex with women or in heterosexual sex. So there is no need actually for section 377.
Let's put that statement to others to get in their views, Mr. Ashok Rao Kavi, as to whether there is any need for section 377 in modern day India. Yeah, Arvind Gupta, representing the BJP. Mr. Gupta, many say that today has been sort of a double whammy for the BJP, because the Supreme Court's rulings on both the larger issue of privacy and on the specific issue of homosexuality, or to be even more specific, section 377, is in complete contradiction to what the BJP's official stand has been for many years.
Yes. Mr. Gupta is to eat humble crow now.
First of all, let me comment on the
Go ahead, Mr. Gupta.
The right to privacy that the Supreme Court has held as a fundamental right today, we welcome that, number one. Number two, I think the Honorable Court and the 9-judge bench has taken a very good view in giving a very good judgment, but also kept a few provisions which are part of the reasonable restrictions which are applicable to any fundamental right, which is public order, national security, and also we must note that the social benefits have been added to that. So I think in this case the stand of the government becomes is reformed by the
Mr.
Supreme
Gupta,
Court
this
that
is
the
Mr.
right to
Gupta, this is
privacy
not
is a
about the
fundamental
larger
right,
observation
but
on,
there are certain
or
restrictions.
Mr. Gupta, this is not about the larger observation over the right to privacy here. This is a very specific statement by the highest court of the law over section 377, and it is completely unambiguous.
Absolutely. It's
Say that
completely
again,
One second,
unambiguous.
Mr. Kavi,
Sexual
Mr. Kavi,
orientation
just one second.
is
Let Mr. Kavi, let's just hear out Mr. Arvind Gupta. Go ahead, Mr. Gupta.
Yeah, so I have made my statement on this, and I think the right to privacy in terms of how privacy is defined as what you do very intimately is your intimate privacy. What you do in your private zone, data that is pertaining to a private zone is a private data, and the third zone, which is a public data, and how that should be handled. I think new rules and guidelines will have to be formulated for all this. And the point I want to make is in the digital age that we are living today,
Okay.
I think this is a very, very welcome step, because data is becoming very, very important in this whole digital economy, and how
Mr. Gupta, you're still not
monitor
addressing
data,
my larger
regulate
point
data,
here.
what rules and
But
obligations,
let
what
Mr. Gupta,
responsibilities
I'll give you some time to
whether
frame
on the
your
state
party
or on the-
response
on
right now on the
countries with
specific
gathered
question
data.
that I've
The user
raised.
data will become-
For now,
part
let's
of the
just
rule of
assume that the BJP also welcomes all aspects of the Supreme Court ruling, including the one in section 377. I'll come back to you, Mr. Gupta, till you frame a more clearer response on that. And this is also a quick reminder to all of you is that you can call in on the number flashing on the bottom of the screen, 01204369581, and give us your views as to whether it's now time to invoke LGBT privacy here. Is it now time for a complete rethink into one of the most contentious rulings and one of the most contentious issues of our time. Vinayak Dalmia, as a constitutional law expert, is there any ambiguity whatsoever in what the Supreme Court, at least today's bench, felt about Section 377 here? Because the scope of reasonable restrictions is being used by all parties to benefit them when it comes to the larger ruling about privacy. But it seems to me that it's pretty crystal clear the Supreme Court believes that one's actions or one's sexual choice in one's bedroom is not anybody else's business, certainly not the government's.
So I think this is a remarkable last few days for us as a country and for especially the Supreme Court. And you know, the Supreme Court needs to be congratulated. The point of the matter is the devil is in the details. So this is about a 500-page long judgment, and this is just day one, and we're still grappling with the headline. And a lot will emerge over the next few days, next few months, next few years. And I've said this previously, the second and third order effect on jurisprudence and on us as a country is going to be tremendous. It's not just about sexual preferences. It will go into confidentiality. It will go into defamation. It may challenge the right to information. It will have a wide impact. And yes, sexuality may be one of them. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Let's also go across to Kasturi, who's joining us from Chennai. But before that, a quick listening to what one of our viewers is saying. Ram Subramaniam joins us from Gurgaon. Ram, go ahead and have your say.
Yes, I'm astounded by the attitude of the elite, just breast beating before the Supreme give any judgment it wants. Who implements? There's a case of an 80-year-old man whom I know who wanted to link his mobile with the Aadhaar, and his old man couldn't get fingerprints. They asked him to go to an eye test, and they told him, come back next week, the machine is not working. What are we talking about here, talking highfalutin stuff we elite love to talk all the time? I've been on your program so many times, I know everything, but as the French say, the more things change, the more they remain the same. What's so great? Let them say this Aadhaar, bring that Nandan Nalikini on your TV and grill him. Was it a great thing which he did?
Okay.
I don't understand what this discussion is all about.
All right.
Airy-fairy talk going on. I totally agree with the anchor what he said. Sex is a private business. I was amazed to know that even sex has come into this picture. It's an asinine thing, this Aadhaar card. Nalikini to explain. He's run away to Bangalore.
All right. Thank you so much, Ram Subramaniam, for joining us. Dr. Prasad joins us from Mumbai as a caller. Go ahead, Dr. Prasad. And I'll also request my director to raise the volume in the studio so that our guests can also listen to what our callers are saying.
Hi, good evening. And this is a great day for us. And I'm really happy that this judgment has come in. I'm a doctor, medical doctor, and I've been working in the healthcare arena for LGBT population, and I have been hearing so many heart-wrenching stories of people not getting access to healthcare because homosexuality is criminalized. For example, people who are turning HIV positive because they do not have access to proper education, or HIV positive people not getting access to medication.
Yes.
So this is a great way ahead, and we look forward to Section 377 being scrapped and making healthcare access to, available to everybody across India, and educating doctors also about the special needs of gay and lesbian women or trans.
Yes, but are we jumping the gun slightly when it comes to just a ruling or observation of the Supreme Court to actually reaching a point where Section 377 is repealed here? Ellen Rao, before I go across to Kasturi also, Ellen Rao, as DCP of the Special Cell, I'm sure you would have come across this conundrum a lot more. How can a nation like India, where cultural stereotypes or at least cultural sensitivities play such an important role, and it extends to the police force as well, effectively implement the possibility of Section 377 being repealed or not being repealed here? Because it varies immensely from a person's subjective understanding of what is right and what is not right. How do we implement a situation where homosexuality is legalized?
First of all, I must congratulate the judges of Supreme Court who has announced this important judgment on the very burning issue. And this judgment will go a very long way in the history of India, and especially about the Section 377, and mainly on the homosexuality. no doubt now a changing circumstances of like virtual world is going on, that we are digitizing, and so many communications are going on with the cyber law. Then this judgment is definitely for the benefit of all over India, especially that in the judgment, I think the headline says that the right of privacy has been declared as a fundamental right, and the fundamental right is a very must to complement to followed by everyone.
Yes.
Not only to the Indians, but also governments should implement this fundamental right system, and that's why the pronouncement of this judgment of Supreme Court, it will go definitely a very beneficial for, especially for the homosexuals, and Section 377 will definitely will be considered a redundant from nowadays.
Kasturi, is it just a very small step or something quite significant, given the fact that today's, at least when it comes to Section 377, it's just been an observation, there has still been no review or upturning of the Justice Kaushal verdict on Section 377 yet?
Yes, that has not specifically been upturned, but I think this is going to set a very positive precedent for that when it does come into consideration. Frankly, you know, Section 377 is a very archaic British-era law that has completely become redundant, lost its relevance in today's day and age. We don't see people getting arrested for what they do behind their bedrooms on a regular basis. In fact, it is a weapon now to target people that the police or the state wants to harass. Yeah. So really, my point of view is that if the LGBT community were a vote bank, you know, today you don't have those people as a visible vote bank. They're not concentrated in one constituency. So any justice or any social reform that touches the lives of such people, such a community, is going to take its time coming in the vote bank driven political scenario of India. But the judiciary, which doesn't need that kind of politics to be played, has made its voice loud and clear. We are entitled to our privacy, and that definitely includes all of us, all Indians, regardless of sexual orientation.
Okay. Now, Mr. Arvind Gupta, in December 15, 2013, shortly after the Justice Kaushal ruling here, Rajnath Singh, senior leader of the BJP, now the Home Minister, came out, and I'm quoting here, "We will support Section 377 as we believe that homosexuality is an unnatural act. We cannot support it," end quote. Does the BJP still agree with this view?
I don't think so.
Why doesn't he answer?
We have a view on this. I am being very categorical.
Okay. Go ahead.
No, I am giving a very explicit answer. This given the judgment today of the Supreme Court, the test of the judgment will lie in application. The applications, the test cases will be put forward. If the law or today's judgment makes Section 377 invalid, then it so be it. But I think the view will come as the judgment today is consumed and put to test in different cases and different use cases.
So are you saying that the BJP's official view, and just one quick cross question before I go back to our callers, are you saying that the BJP's official view changes based on what the Supreme Court says?
No, see, first of all, any view of any party always needs to take into account the conditions which are prevailing, both social conditions, economic conditions. So when somebody says that we cannot have a different opinion than what we had 2 years ago or 3 years ago, I think change is only constant that we have in life.
Okay.
So I find it very funny.
That's quite
say that you said this
progressive as someone,
but you don't have
quite
a
a progressive stand, Mr.
So having said that, as I'm saying, the opinion will be formed, the judgment has come in, and when the opinion gets formed, you will get to know about it.
Okay. All right, Mr. Gupta. Let's quickly go across to Captain Jaspal, who's joining us on the phone line.
If it does not...
One second, Mr. Gupta. Let me just get in a view from our callers. Captain Jaspal joining us on the phone line. Go ahead, Captain.
Hello. Good evening to you.
Yes, good evening.
It was a great news for each one of us So that this has been made a fundamental right. The difference now is that the Chief Justice of India, guarantor of protection of this fundamental right. I am a very senior citizen.
Okay.
I have seen a dark period in 1975.
All right, Captain Jaspal, I'm sorry, but your audio is not very clear, but we understand the gist of what you're saying. Ram joins us from Bengaluru. Go ahead.
Yeah, hi.
Yes.
So, Oliver, see what exactly it means. Private right to privacy means you should submit Aadhaar cards to everybody, or you should not submit Aadhaar cards to everything, whatever you think for marriage or for banks or anything. Exactly, I don't understand what is right to privacy.
Well, that is what has to be defined by the Supreme Court, and also there's a separate bench which is going to hear on the privacy of Aadhaar cards specifically. But coming back to the issue at hand, Ashok Rao Kavi, would you be willing to give the concession to the BJP today? Because we've had a representative of the BJP coming out very clearly stating that yes, views, even if it is of political parties, change with the times. So would you be saying today that today could possibly be the second big victory for the LGBT community? Because falling on the heels of the Supreme Court's ruling, you have had the principal party in the government, one which has opposed homosexuality, now saying that it's willing to review its stand at least.
I don't think they are being brought to the table by force. You see, the BJP representative here keeps on avoiding issues of sexual orientation. He's talking about Aadhaar, he's talking about other issues of data mining, but he's not saying what party's view on sexual.
No, but he has said that the party's view can evolve.
As long as it's in private, it's fine.
He said the party's view can evolve.
Now, well, if the parties can evolve, then let them come out with it. No,
okay.
They're not having a clear stand on it.
All right, Kasturi, do you feel that the time has now come for a political movement here to recognize the rights of the LGBTQ community? We have seen politicians coming out across political parties, like the BJP itself. I remember Piyush Goyal had earlier come out with a statement in which he had supported the right to same sex. So do you feel that till there is a political movement backed by a social movement, there will not really be any impetus or any movement to change the current scenario?
Yeah, I actually do feel that it's about time that politicians stopped ignoring the elephant in the room. Okay. This is a community that is not a vote bank, so one does need a lot of backing and support to get these people's voices and rights heard. Talking about unnatural stuff and all that, and the political parties, we have conservatives, not just in the Hindu section of politics, but also Islamic groups who feel conservatively about homosexuality or LGBT. And, okay. We have gods in India who were born to two male gods. I mean, this is something that's not a new phenomenon. It just, I would say, we just need to reinterpret and re-understand, develop a new understanding and tolerance of the community's rights, because that's about it. We don't need to fight for it, we just need to accept.
Okay. So I think that's the note that we can take, and I'm afraid we'll have to head in for a short break now.
I don't Aadhaar.
Okay, I think viewers, I think a lot of you guys want to add on to that, but I think let's just end it on this note. It's time for change. It's time to recognize changes in society and changes in mindset as well, and at least the Supreme Court, I think both my guests in the studio will also agree, the Supreme Court actually today has set the stone, had set the ball rolling towards evolution of thought process and evolution of what is acceptable and what is not. On that note, it's time for a short break. More news and updates on the other side. Stay with us.